I never imagined that one night could change everything. The moment I saw the messages on his phone, my heart shattered in ways I didn't think possible. But what happened next? What I begged him to do, well, it wasn't what anyone would expect. "Please, don't stop," I whispered, even though my whole world was crumbling around me. And he didn't stop. Not for a second. You see, this isn't just another story about someone caught cheating and a relationship falling apart. It's deeper, messier, and rawer than that. It's about the complicated emotions when love, betrayal, and desire get tangled up in ways you can't control. About the moments when you want to scream, cry, and run away but somehow stay rooted to a truth you don't want to face. The kind of story that makes you question everything you thought you knew about trust and loyalty. I want you to picture the people involved, not just as names or roles, but as real people with flaws and hopes. There's him, someone I believed I knew, someone I trusted with my heart and my future. And then there's me, the one who chose to stay, to beg, and to fight even when every part of me wanted to walk away. I never thought I would be the one begging. But in that moment, desperation took over. What's crazy is that even when I caught him, even when I saw proof, part of me wanted to believe there was a way to fix it all. I thought if I just begged him hard enough, if I showed him how much it hurt, maybe he would stop. Maybe he would realize what he was about to lose. But he didn't. He didn't stop. And that made everything worse, because it wasn't just about cheating. It was about what came after, about the silence, the lies, and the choices that followed. I know what you're thinking, why would anyone beg someone who hurt them not to stop? It sounds crazy. But sometimes love is so complicated that you hold on to even the worst moments, hoping for something better. Sometimes the heart refuses to let go even when the mind screams to run. This story is about that struggle, the heartbreaking push and pull between holding on and letting go. As I sit here telling you this, I'm still trying to make sense of it all. The late-night arguments, the stolen moments of honesty, the silent treatments that felt louder than any scream, they all paint a picture of a love story that wasn't simple or clean. It's messy. It's painful. And it's real. There's one thing I've learned through this: infidelity isn't just about the act itself. It's about what happens when trust is broken, when promises are shattered, and when you have to decide whether to rebuild or walk away. It's about the decisions that haunt you long after the truth is out in the open. And for me, those decisions were the hardest part. The more I begged him not to stop, the more I realized I was begging for something that wasn't really there anymore. But how do you let go when your heart is screaming to stay? When every memory, every laugh, every dream you had together pulls you back? That's the kind of tension that keeps you up at night, caught between pain and hope, between what is and what could have been. I'm not here to judge or blame. I want you to understand the human side of it, the feelings that don't fit into neat boxes or easy explanations. This story isn't just mine. It's a story many people live in silence, hiding behind smiles and pretending everything's okay. But it's not okay. And sometimes, sharing that truth is the first step toward healing. So, what happened next? After I begged him to never stop and he didn't, how did I survive the days that followed? What did it mean for us, for the future I thought we had? There's so much more to tell, and I promise to take you through every twist and turn. But for now, I want you to sit with this. Sometimes, the person you love the most can be the one who breaks you. And sometimes, the hardest thing to do is to face the truth when you least want to. This is my story. A story about love, betrayal, and the moments in between where everything feels like it could fall apart. Stay with me, because the truth is just beginning to unfold. It all started long before I saw those messages. At first, everything seemed normal, the kind of normal that makes you think your relationship is steady, safe. We had routines, inside jokes, dreams we whispered late at night. I believed in us. I trusted him in ways I never thought I would. We talked about the future like it was a promise written in stone. But sometimes, the cracks are there, hidden beneath the surface, and you don't see them until they suddenly split wide open. I remember the little things that didn't quite add up. The way his phone buzzed a little too often, the vague answers when I asked who it was, the late nights he said he was working but didn't sound convincing. I tried to ignore it, convincing myself it was just stress or work piling up. I wanted to believe the best, because what else could I do? But deep down, a quiet voice kept whispering that something was wrong. That voice grew louder the night I finally saw the truth. I wasn't snooping, at least not at first. I was just looking for a message he promised to send me, something simple. But when I unlocked his phone, there it was, the messages not meant for me, conversations that didn't include me. Words that weren't meant to be shared, moments stolen from us. The shock hit me like a wave. I felt like I was drowning. And that's when the begging started. I didn't want to lose him. Even though every word hurt, I wanted to believe there was a way back. "Please don't stop," I said, not fully understanding what I was asking. Was I begging him to stop cheating? To stop hurting me? Or was I begging for the connection we once had, desperate to hold on to whatever was left? The lines blurred because my heart was so broken, I couldn't think straight. What followed was a twisted dance of emotions. There were apologies, promises that sounded so sincere I almost believed them. But there was also silence, cold nights when he shut down and I was left alone with my fears. Every day felt like walking on a thin line between hope and despair. I wanted to fix us, but every step forward seemed to bring us 2 steps back. The hardest part wasn't just what he did, it was how it changed him, and how it changed me. The man I thought I knew became a stranger. I started noticing the way he avoided my eyes, how he held back parts of himself. It was like he was living 2 lives, and I was only seeing one side. And I hated it. I hated feeling like I was losing him piece by piece, while trying to convince myself that maybe, just maybe, there was still a chance. I kept asking myself, why didn't he stop? Why did he keep going even when he saw how much it hurt me? Was it something about me? Something I wasn't giving him? Or was it something inside him, a part of him I could never reach? Those questions haunted me every single day. And no answer felt good enough. Friends told me to leave, to walk away from someone who didn't respect me. But love doesn't work that way. It's not a switch you can turn off. Sometimes love traps you in a place where pain and hope exist side by side. I stayed because I wanted to believe we could find our way back. I stayed because I thought love meant fighting through the worst. But I was scared of what staying might cost me and scared of what leaving might mean. There were moments when I almost gave up, moments when I felt completely alone even though he was right there. I cried in silence, wondering if I was foolish for holding on to something so broken. But something inside me refused to let go. Maybe it was the memories, maybe it was the fear of starting over, or maybe it was the hope that love could still heal what was broken. This story isn't just about betrayal, it's about those in-between moments, the ones nobody talks about. The moments when you're stuck, when your heart says one thing but your head says another. The moments when you realize that sometimes, love isn't enough, but you keep hoping anyway. So, what happens when you beg someone not to stop, and they don't? What does that mean for the future? How do you survive when trust is shattered but the love you feel still lingers like a ghost? The answers aren't easy, and they're not coming anytime soon. But this journey, messy, painful, and full of unanswered questions, is just beginning. And I'm going to tell you everything, every step of the way. The deeper I got into this, the more I realized it wasn't just about him or me, it was about everything in between, the things neither of us said out loud. There were layers to this infidelity that went beyond the betrayal itself. Sometimes it felt like we were living in 2 different worlds, 2 versions of a story neither of us fully understood. On one side, there was his guilt, his silence, the way he avoided my questions. On the other side, there was my desperation, my need to hold on, even when every instinct told me to let go. One thing that made it harder was the way our friends reacted. Some didn't know the full story and sided with him, saying people make mistakes, that relationships are complicated. Others quietly took my side but didn't know how to help without making things worse. It was a lonely place, feeling torn between wanting support and fearing judgment. The whispers, the awkward silences at gatherings, they all added weight to a situation already heavy enough to crush me. I felt trapped not just by what was happening between us, but by the world watching us unravel. At the same time, there was another angle, the person he was involved with. I kept wondering about her. Was she just someone passing through his life, or did she mean more than I realized? Was she aware of the damage she was causing? Or was she, too, caught in a mess of emotions and mistakes? I never confronted her directly, but her presence haunted my thoughts like a shadow I couldn't shake. It felt like a silent, invisible part of the conflict that I couldn't control or understand. In the middle of all this chaos, I started noticing things about myself that surprised me. I found strength I didn't know I had, moments of clarity between the storms of doubt. But I also found parts of me that were broken, insecurities, fears, and questions about who I really was outside of this relationship. What did it mean to love someone who hurt you? How do you rebuild yourself when the foundation beneath you feels like it's crumbling? These were questions I couldn't avoid, even when I wanted to. And then there was the everyday reality of trying to keep things together. We shared a home, bills, routines, things that don't just disappear because trust is broken. Every day felt like walking through a minefield, where one wrong step could blow everything apart. We tried to talk, but conversations often ended in silence or arguments that left both of us drained. I wasn't sure if we were fighting to fix things or just fighting not to fall apart completely. The tension was everywhere, in the quiet moments, in the words left unsaid, in the way he looked at me sometimes with eyes full of regret but no answers. It was like living on a knife's edge, never knowing when something would tip over into something worse. And all the while, I kept begging, hoping, praying that maybe, somehow, we could find a way back. But deep down, I was afraid that maybe some things, once broken, can never be fixed. This story is far from over. The conflicts are growing, the stakes higher than ever. And while I'm still searching for answers, I'm holding on to one thing, the hope that sharing this truth might help someone else who's caught in a similar storm. Because sometimes, the hardest battles are the ones we fight inside ourselves, long after the world has stopped watching. Just when I thought I had reached the breaking point, when I believed things couldn't get any worse, something happened that turned everything upside down again. It was a late afternoon, I was going through some old photos on my phone, trying to distract myself from the chaos in my head, when I found a message I hadn't seen before. At first, it seemed harmless, but as I read it over and over, a cold shiver ran down my spine. It wasn't from the person I expected. It was from someone I never thought would be involved, someone close to both of us. I won't lie, my heart pounded as I tried to make sense of what I was reading. This new discovery wasn't just a small slip-up or a moment of weakness. It hinted at a deeper, more complicated secret, one that made me question everything all over again. The stakes suddenly felt higher. The trust one was trying to salvage was slipping through my fingers faster than I could hold on. I felt like I was being pulled into a storm that I had no way out of. This twist wasn't just about the betrayal anymore. It was about how far the web of lies stretched and how many people were tangled in it. It made me realize that the story I thought I was living was just a small piece of a much bigger puzzle. And I had no idea what the whole picture looked like yet. With this new shock came a flood of emotions, confusion, anger, disbelief, and a deep, gnawing fear. What else was hidden beneath the surface? How many more secrets were waiting to be uncovered? The questions were overwhelming, and the answers felt just out of reach. But one thing was clear, nothing would ever be the same again. And so, the tension tightened, pulling us closer to a moment where everything had to come out in the open. The question wasn't if the truth would be revealed, it was when. And when that time came, I knew nothing would ever be the same. That night, everything came crashing down. I confronted him with the message, with the truth I had uncovered, the betrayal that wasn't just about one person anymore, but about a tangled web I never expected. His face was a mix of shame and something else I couldn't quite place, fear, maybe. For the first time, the walls he'd built around himself started to crumble. We talked for hours, raw and real. No more hiding, no more excuses. He admitted things I hadn't even guessed, things that explained the distance, the secrecy, the pain. It was painful to hear, but there was a strange relief in finally knowing the full story. I saw the man behind the mistakes, flawed and broken but still there. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't just about infidelity, it was about us, about the choices we make when everything falls apart. But just when I thought we had reached some kind of understanding, the final twist hit me like a thunderclap. As he reached out to show me something on his phone, proof of his honesty this time, I saw a message pop up. It wasn't from her. It wasn't from anyone I expected. It was from me. A message I had sent days ago, one I thought he had never read. I had begged him not to stop. I had begged him to keep trying. But the truth was, in my desperation, I had unknowingly been pushing him further away. That message wasn't a plea for healing. It was a trap, a reminder of everything we were both afraid to face. In that moment, I understood the hardest truth of all: sometimes, the people we love most are the ones who break us. And sometimes, holding on means learning when to finally let go. After that night, everything changed. We both knew that things could never go back to the way they were. The betrayal had left scars too deep to ignore, but it also opened the door to honest conversations we hadn't had before. We decided to take a step back, not out of anger, but out of respect for ourselves and the truth we finally faced. I spent a lot of time reflecting on what love really means, especially when it's tested by infidelity. It's not just about holding on at all costs, but about knowing when to hold on and when to let go. Sometimes, love is messy and painful, and sometimes it teaches you more about yourself than you ever expected. The people around us, the friends who watched quietly from the sidelines, slowly began to understand that this wasn't just a simple story of cheating. It was about the complexities of human emotions, the mistakes we make, and the courage it takes to face them honestly. I realized that healing isn't linear, and forgiveness, whether for someone else or yourself, takes time. As for him, I saw the weight of what he had done and the effort it took to admit it. We didn't end up together, but we both found a way forward, separate but wiser. The journey wasn't easy, but it was necessary. If there's one thing I want anyone watching to take away from this story, it's that betrayal doesn't define you. It's how you respond, with honesty, courage, and self-respect, that shapes the next chapter. Sometimes, the hardest endings lead to the strongest beginnings. 6.